Hello everyone, welcome back to Polity Daily Drill. This is day 9, the time is 8:30 and let's begin our discussion for the day. First question, consider the following statements about money bills. It can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. As per the constitution, such bills can be introduced by ministers only and the president shall give his assent to such bills within 14 days. Now, money bills, the procedure for which is mentioned under Article 109 are bills which deal with financial matters. As far as the money bills are concerned, Article 109, Clause 1 very clearly says that money bills cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha, that is Council of States. So statement 1 is correct. Now coming to statement 2, as per the Constitution. Now I have been putting such questions based on what UPSC has asked in the past, and whenever you see this phrase, you have to be extra cautious. As to what? As to whether the following phrase, the following statement, is it actually mentioned in the Constitution or not? There are a lot of things which are mentioned in other laws or maybe in the rules of Lok Sabha, rules of Rajya Sabha, or could be simply matters of conventions. So there has to be a clarity in your mind vis-a-vis something being mentioned in the Constitution or not. Now you'll be surprised to know, of course this statement seems to be correct, that such bills can be introduced by ministers only, and this is what we have read everywhere. However, Article 109 does not clarify at all, it's not mentioned in the Constitution at all that money bills can be introduced by ministers only. So statement 2 becomes incorrect. It's just a matter of convention. And number 3, now as far as the money bills are concerned, the only limitation on the president is that he cannot send back the money bill. This means he cannot use what kind of veto? He cannot use a suspensive veto. That's it. And when it comes to 14 days criteria, this is by and large with the Rajya Sabha. Whenever a money bill is sent to the Rajya Sabha has to pass or give assent to the money bill within 14 days. So what we normally say is that Rajya Sabha has returned the bill, meaning it has seen the bill and has returned it. The task is over. So 14 days time frame is for the Rajya Sabha. There is no time frame mentioned for the president whatsoever, right? So 3 is also wrong. This means how many statements are correct? A. Only 1 is correct. Moving on to the second question. Which of the following is or are correct regarding removal of the vice president? The removal of vice president mentioned under Article 67, Clause B. So he can be impeached. The first statement says that he can be impeached only on the charge of violation of the Constitution. And number 2 says on the removal of the president, Chief Justice takes charge as the VP for the remaining tenure. So statement 1 is actually incorrect. Why is it incorrect? Because when it comes to the vice president, no ground whatsoever is mentioned when it comes to his removal. No criteria. The ground of violation of the Constitution is meant for the president's removal, not the removal of the vice president. One is wrong. And coming to the second statement, of course, it could be an assumption that when the president is not there in the office, then the VP becomes the acting president. So this means VP's office is vacant. Who takes over as the role of the VP? No need as such. Why? Because we already have a deputy chairperson in the Rajya Sabha who takes care of the role of the vice president in the Rajya Sabha. Now don't think that the deputy chairperson becomes a VP. He or she only becomes the presiding officer of the Rajya Sabha. Right? So statement 2 is also wrong. This would mean what? None of the statements, neither 1 nor 2, are correct. D being the right answer. Moving on to the third question. Consider the following statements with respect to schedules in the Indian Constitution. So this is more of a match the following. How many statements are correctly matched? Second schedule, oath and affirmation. Third schedule, emoluments and allowances. Fourth schedule, allocation of seats to House of People. 10th schedule, anti-defection law. So second schedule, of course, does not contain oath. It contains salaries, emoluments, allowances. Emoluments means salaries. The money you get in lieu of some work you do is called emoluments. Third schedule contains oaths. So both of these are incorrectly matched. 1 and 2 are both wrong. It's the exact opposite. Coming to the third one, that is fourth schedule. Now, as far as fourth schedule is concerned, it does contain information on the allocation of seats to not the House of People but the Council of States, the Rajya Sabha. So this is also wrong. The fourth one is correct. 10th schedule does contain provisions for anti-defection law added in the year 1985 with the 52nd Amendment Act. So how many statements are correctly matched? In this case, only one is correctly matched. Moving on to the fourth question. Consider the following statements regarding the High Court judges. The High Court judges on retirement are debarred, not allowed, from practicing in the Supreme Court as an advocate. And second one, violation of the Constitution is the only ground for the removal of a High Court judge. Now coming to this question, the first statement is incorrect. Why is it incorrect? See, if you retire as a Supreme Court judge, Article 124 Clause 7 for Supreme Court judges is very clear. And what does it say? That whoever has acted as a Supreme Court judge will not be allowed to practice or plead in any court of law within the territory of India. However, if you have retired as a High Court judge, you are only debarred from practicing as an advocate in those high courts where you have actually acted as a judge. This means you are allowed to practice in all the high courts where you have not been a judge, plus you're also allowed to practice in the Supreme Court as an advocate. So one is wrong. Second one is also wrong. Why? Because the ground of removal of the judges is misbehavior or incapacity. So this is a ground for the removal of the judges of the Supreme Court as well as the High Court. Prove misbehavior or incapacity. Violation of the Constitution is a ground for removal of the Indian President. Both statements are wrong. Which of the statements given above is or are incorrect? Right? So don't mark the D option as the right answer here. The right answer is C, because both the statements are incorrect. And the last question for today. Consider the following restrictions: sedition, friendly relations with foreign states, decency, morality, protection of the interest of any scheduled tribe, and health. How many of the above are a limitation on the freedom of speech and expression as enshrined in Article 19 of the Indian Constitution? So, as far as the freedom of speech and expression is concerned, under Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, the restrictions for this provision are under Article 19, Clause 2. And there are 8 different types of restrictions on our use or enjoyment of speech and expression. Restrictions like sovereignty and integrity of India, security of the state, contempt of court, defamation, public order, friendly relation with foreign states, decency or morality. These are the restrictions. Plus, sedition is not a restriction mentioned in the Constitution. The restriction is incitement to an offense, right? So those are the 8 restrictions. Sedition is not mentioned categorically as a restriction anywhere. The fourth one, that is protection of the interests of any scheduled tribe, this is a restriction on Article 19(1)(d) and E, that is the right to move freely and the right to reside in any part of the country. And as far as health is concerned, It is a restriction on Articles 25 and 26, the freedom of religion. So 1, 4 and 5 are wrong. 2 and 3 are restrictions. Hence, how many are limitations? Only 2. A being the right answer for this question. This brings us to an end of our discussion for today. That is all for this video. Let's meet tomorrow at 8:30. Till then, that is all for me. Jai Hind.